Hey, it's Miss Flores. So today we are going to be coming up with equations, but now they're going to be two-step equations. So we're going to write our own equations, and we are going to, determine the proper equation for a situation. So let's look at a few examples. So this is going to be just kind of like some example problems of what we're going to be doing. So let's look at our first one. We have that 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled, and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were in each bus? All right. So first off, I need to figure out how many total students I have that are going to be in a bus, right? They give me the total number of students on a field trip, which is 331, right? We had 331 students, but we had that 7 students were going to be in cars. So those kids in cars aren't going to be in the bus, right? So my first step is going to be to subtract my 331 minus 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write parentheses. I have 331 minus 7. That's what I'm first going to do, right? Now, my next thing is I have those 6 buses that are going to be holding all of the kids that are riding the bus, right? So if I want to know how many students are on one bus, I would divide. So I'm going to drag my division symbol. I'm going to say I'm going to divide next. So I have 331 minus 7, whatever that is, divided by my 6 buses. And then I could say it would be equal to how many students on each bus. Let's say that we're saying B per bus, or I could actually solve. So I would do 331 minus 7 first, which is 324. 324 divided by 6 is equal to 54. So that'd be 54 students in each bus. Let's look at the next one. I have that Alea had $24 to spend on 7 pencils. After buying them, she had $10. How much did each pencil cost? So she started off with $24, right? After she was done buying pencils, she had $10 left. So I need to figure out how much money she spent on pencils, right? So what I would do is I would say, well, I've got $24, so I'm going to put my parentheses because I'm doing this first. So I'll do $24 minus the $10. That would give me $14 to spend on those pencils, right? But that's $14 to spend on 7 pencils. I'm going to know how much did each pencil, one pencil, right? So I would take that 14 and divide it by 7. So I'm going to take my division symbol. Whoops, hold on a second. There we go. So I'm going to take my 14, right? When I did 24 minus 10, that was 14. 14 divided by my 7 pencils. Well, when I solve this, I had my $14 divided by 7, which is going to give me $2 per pencil. So this would be my equation for this problem. So these are two-step equations, right? Because I'm doing one step and then I've got to do my second step. Let's look at another one. All right, let's say number 5, you bought a magazine for $5 and 4 erasers. You spent a total of $25. How much did each eraser cost? All right, so my first step is to figure out how much I spent on just erasers. If I spent a total of $25, but 5 of those dollars was a magazine, I would say 25 minus $5 to figure out how much money would be on erasers. So, if you've noticed, my first step that I've been doing so far has been in my parentheses. Parentheses show, and we're going to get more in this tomorrow, but parentheses kind of show that you're doing something first. That's the first thing of my problem you're doing. So on these cases, my first thing that I was doing was subtracting, right? So I was subtracting my $25 minus the $5 for that magazine. Well, 25 minus 5 is 20, right? So now I would have $20 spent on 4 erasers. If I wanted to know the price of one eraser, each eraser, I would say 20 divided by 4, right? So now I've got to take my division symbol, drag it over. So I've got $25 minus $5 was $20. $20 divided by my 4 erasers is equal to, well, 20 divided by 4 is 5, so it was $5 for each erasers. That is a pretty expensive eraser. All right, let's do another one. All right, let's look at number 7. So, Sumli won 40 super bouncy balls playing horseshoes at her school's game night. Later, she gave 2 to each of her friends. She only has 8 remaining. How many friends does she have? All right, so the important thing to think about is that she gave 2 bouncy balls to each of her friends. So every friend she has, she's giving 2 bouncy balls. Let's figure out how many bouncy balls she gave away, right? So if she started with 40, she started with 40 of them, right? And she has 8 left. How would I figure out how many she has or how many she gave away? I would subtract, right? So my first step is going to be subtraction. I'm going to say 40 bouncy balls minus 8, right? Well, 40 bouncy balls minus 8 is going to be 32 bouncy balls, right? So now those 32 bouncy balls are split into groups, right, of 2 because she gives each friend 2 of them. So if I take my 32 bouncy balls, divide them by 2 bouncy balls, that will give me my number of friends. So let's move one of our division symbols because if we're splitting something up, that means that we are dividing, right? Splitting stuff up means that we're dividing. All right, so we had our 40 minus 8, which was 32, divided by 2, because each friend gets 2 bouncy balls. Well, 32 divided by 2 is going to equal 16. So she has 16 friends that she gave bouncy balls to. All right, let's look at one more before we go on to today's assignment. Hold on one second. All right, let's look at another field trip question. Number 12. For a field trip, 4 students rode in cars and the rest filled 9 buses. How many students were in each bus if 472 students were on the trip? All right, so now let's think about it. Just kind of like before, I need to figure out how many total students were on the bus, right? So we start off with 472 students, but 4 of them rode in cars. In order to figure out how many students would be on buses, I would subtract, right? I'm going to do 472 students minus the 4 students in cars. 472 minus 4 would be 468. So now I'm going to do 468 students were on those 9 buses. I want to know how many students were on each bus, right? So I would take my 468 and divide it by my 9 buses. So 472 minus 4, which is 468, divided by my 9 buses. So if I do my division, I would do 468 divided by 9, which is 52 students per bus. All right, y'all, here is your assignment today. So it's going to be all about equations, right? So we've got a couple of questions that are going to be picking out which equation is correct for the situation. So you'll have like this question will go with these equations for you, and you pick which one's correct. This question will go with these equations, and you picked one which is correct. We're going to go over a couple of these. Then you've got focus on the expression. So expressions are just like equations, but the only difference is that expressions don't have an equal sign. So we're just figuring out which one matches, and we'll go over a couple of those. Now you do have a few questions, 4 questions that you're writing your own equation. So you've got the equation here, and then you're going to type it up just like what we did in when we were going over this just a moment ago. Now, if you notice at the bottom, it says read the problems and write an expression or write an equation to match what is happening in the problem. You'll be able to find math symbols. We'll go over our math symbols. And if you are stuck, right here, if you are stuck and need a hint, you can move the image to reveal a hint. So this image right here, it moves. So if you have a question, you can move that image and it will give you a hint. Try not to use it unless you absolutely need it though. And then you have a couple test prep questions towards the end where it's going to give you multiple choice. And then you're going to explain your thinking here. Explaining your thinking means that you are just going to type, why did you choose your answer? What was your thought behind it? So let's go over a couple questions. First, let's talk about our secret code in the video. If you are new to our virtual learning class, we have secret codes in our video lesson. This secret code is what helps me determine if you watched the video lesson, most of the way through. So the secret code for this lesson is going to be cell phone. Cell phone. CELLPHONE. Cell phone. That is our secret code. So you would just type it in here. You would click delete and you would type I'm not going to type the whole thing, and you would type your secret code. So our secret code, just like we said before, cell phone. All right, let's look at our first problem. So this is my problem. It says Jennifer ordered 4 cases of glass jars. Each case has 24 jars. When she received the shipment, 21 jars were broken. Which equation can be used to find J, the number of jars that are left? All right, so let's think about it. If I've got 4 cases of glass jars and they come in 24 jars a case, how would I figure out how many total glass jars I have? That sounds like I'm multiplying, right? They give me 1, I'm asking for multiple, so I would multiply. So my first step in my problem would be to do 4 times 24. Well, all of my equations have that. 4 times 24, 4 times 24, 4 times 24, right? But then 21 jars are broken. If I'm breaking jars, I'm not going to use those, right? So those are definitely broken jars that we're going to get rid of. I want to know how many are left. If they're breaking, they're going away, they're going in the trash, so I would subtract them. So I would do my 4 times 24 minus the 21 jars that were broken, which sounds like it would be this answer choice right here. So I'm going to drag my check mark, and I'm going to say this one. Hold on one second. I'm going to drag my check mark, and I'm going to say this answer is the one that would be correct. Let's look at our next one. Eric drew 4 triangles, 2 squares, and 1 octagon. Which equation can be used to find S, the total number of line segments Eric used to draw these shapes? So let's think about it. Triangles have 3 sides. Squares have 4 sides. An octagon is going to have 8 sides. So line segments would be like sides, right? And how many lines I use to draw those shapes. So what I can do is if I've got 4 triangles, I would do my 4 triangles times the number of sides it has. So I would say 4 triangles times my 3 sides. Well, all of these have 4 triangles times 3 sides, right? So then plus my 2 squares times their sides. So 2 times 4 sides. So plus 2 times 4, which sounds like it's this bottom one, right? And then plus my 1 octagon, which is 8 sides, so plus 8. So that means my bottom equation is going to be the correct equation. Right down here. All right. Let's look. All right, let's look at focusing on these expressions. So expressions written in words. So we kind of have like word forms of our expressions, right? So we have to think about what words mean certain things. So let's think about 7 less than. Less than would be subtracting, right? 3 times the sum. So that means 3 times whatever the sum of something and 7 is. Sum is adding. So these questions are very important to remember what our math vocabulary words mean. So let's look at our first one. We said 7 less than 3 times a number. So if you notice, we have n on all of these, right? N is going to be standing for our number. We talked about this on Friday, that these letters are called variables. They stand in place of another number that we might use later on. So I've got 7 less than 3 times a number. So it sounds like 7 less, so 7 minus 3 times, so that's multiplying, 3 times a number. So I need to look for something that says 7, I'm subtracting 7 from 3 times a number. So the only one that shows me 3 times a number is going to be this one, right? So I have 3 times my number minus 7, which is going to be this box. So I'm going to drag it, and it goes right here. And so that's what you're doing with the rest of these. So now all of these that you are writing your own equation, I want you to try them on your own. Make sure that you're using those hints. And make sure you're doing those test prep questions as well. We will go over these when we meet back up later today. And let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to put your secret code. We said the secret code earlier. The secret code was cell phone. Cell phone. All right, y'all. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good day, guys. Bye.